The Minister of Finance, Tito Mboweni, carefully juggled his maiden budget speech to appease rather than alienate voters ahead of the May polls. South Africa's modest growth rate is under even more pressure as a technically insolvent Eskom battles to keep the lights on. In his recent State of the Nation address, President Cyril Ramaphosa announced Eskom would be split into 3 entities which government will support through 23 billion rand a year. State-owned enterprises are still costing the taxpayer. The South African National Roads Agency gets an additional 3.5 billion rand over the next 3 years to improve non-toll roads. In the last financial year, Eskom used an additional 50 billion rand of its 350 billion rand guarantee. Denel was granted a further 1 billion rand, and SAA's guaranteed debt increased by 6.2 billion. Because of modest economic growth forecasts and rising debt, global ratings agencies watch the speech with hawk eyes to see how South Africa will manage its debt in the years ahead. The simple fact is, despite higher tax and spending cutbacks, South Africa just owes too much, and the amount it owes, the budget deficit, is now 4.3% of what the entire economy is worth. Should our debt to gross domestic product ratio not improve in the foreseeable future, government may have to consider approaching the International Monetary Fund for a loan. Like your personal budget, if you've got too much debt, you have to compromise other expenses. As tax revenue was revised down by 15.4 billion rand, government has to get more money from somewhere. But it wasn't going to come from more income tax after last year's outrage at higher VAT, especially in an election year when South Africans are already stretched to their limits. Instead, he focused on getting more taxpayers to pay what they owe and fixing the South African Revenue Service to boost government's ability to collect tax. Like last year, those earning less than 79,000 rand will not pay income tax, while those earning more than 1.5 million rand will pay 532,041 rand and 45% of every rand earned above 1.5 million in tax. An easy way to collect money without too many complaints was to leave the tax brackets unchanged. This will generate an additional 12.8 billion rand in tax revenue. Filling vehicles will also cost more, with the total fuel levy rising by 29 cents a litre for petrol and 30 cents a litre for diesel. This means petrol may cost about 86 cents a litre more and diesel R1.07 a litre more from April, based on the current under-recovery on fuel prices. Tax on a pack of 20 cigarettes goes up by R1.14 to 16.66 rand. And a 750 milliliter bottle of wine will be 22 cents more expensive. The levy rate for sugar tax under the banner of Better Health will cost 2.21 cents a gram more from April, but the first 4 grams in a product is tax-free. Government will cut spending by 50.3 billion rand over the next 3 years, while still trying to prioritize education, healthcare and infrastructure development. Over 30 billion rand will go to fix and build schools, and 111.2 billion goes to fund free university education for poor students over the next 3 years. Healthcare received 717 billion rand, which includes funding for national health insurance as government tightens its belt and prioritizes spending. The infrastructure fund will accelerate 526 billion rand for on-budget projects, enlisting the private sector and development finance institutions. In the words of Minister Mboweni, it is time for us to sow the seed of renewal and growth.